everybody. How is everyone doing out there in America today? I shouldn't say that because I think we're out 118 countries these days, 120 countries, something like that. So, like I like to say on my bigger shows, it's a great day wherever you are on our beautiful big blue planet, morning, afternoon, or evening. For our friends out there in Australia, it's getting to be what? No, it's Sunday afternoon, I think. It's kind of strange when you're talking to people. Like my Wednesday show, when I'm talking to everybody, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK, 12 to 2 a.m. actually is what it is. And it's a blast because, people will call in from the show. They're kind of half groggy. It's like listening to Coast in the US. It's kind of funny, but we have a huge audience over there, all over Europe. And when you're listening to us in Europe, you're listening to us basically anywhere from midnight to 5 a.m. So thank y'all for listening, by the way. With this show's a little tad bit earlier. So if you're in the UK, you're listening to us about 10 o'clock. So hello, all y'all having your little cocktails out there on Saturday night. I hope you listen to us via your phone while you're sitting in the pub, maybe playing around at darts. Guys, it's sad when I came over there and whooped all y'all in darts. I'm an American. You should never let an American beat you in darts. Just because I was national champ don't mean anything. You should have never let it happen. But anyway, I hope everyone who's listening to us around the world is having a great afternoon, great morning, or great evening. We have Stephen Kotowych with us tonight, and I want to call him by like 8 names now that I see it. Every time I see his name, I want to call him something different. It's a Freudian thing, people. It just is. It's from doing too much radio and TV over the years. So in the old days, we only had a piece of paper in front of us to look at. Now I can actually see this young man's handsome face, and I can see his name all across it. In the old days, you couldn't see anything. Half the people probably were half naked while they were on the air because there was nobody can see what you were doing. Ginger, what do you mean? What do you mean? What is he? He's a human being as far as I can tell. What do you mean? What is he? What the hell kind of question is this? What do you mean? Oh, you mean is he an illustrator or an author? Oh, what do you think is he? Can you read underneath and see what it says underneath his thing? Figure it out. We'll get there anyway. So, as a winner of Writers of the Future, how did you like it, man?
Hard to complain,
it's well, I've attended now 5 years. So I went to the double year when they came back from COVID, and the 3 years after that. So five events, or 4 events and 5 groups. And I gotta say, there's things like watching the reveals when all the authors get to see their artwork for their books. I always find that fascinating.
That's a big moment. That was a really fun moment. Yeah.
So, for you, did you recognize what you were after right off the bat, or did you have to walk around, or?
No, I was pretty sure which one was mine. It's actually it's sort of back in the corner there. They give you a copy of the artwork. So mine was my story was called Saturn in G minor, and it's about this guy who uses the rings of Saturn to play a symphony out in space. And there's this little space station orbiting Saturn. And so I walked in, and all the artworks are there, and there's this one giant one with a picture of Saturn in it, so I kind of knew right away that one.
Right away, that was it.
It's kind of a giveaway.
That is kind of giveaway.
But it was really cool to see, and the artist Randall Ensley, who did it, did a fantastic job, and he does pointillism, and of course it's set in space, so he did just all these dots to make the whole background black in space, and it must have taken absolutely forever to do, and it's just gorgeous. And so I love having the framed copy here for me in my office.
Jessica, what we're talking about. So at Writers of the Future, it's like day 2 or 3. They have a reveal of the authors meet the artists who did the artwork for their story, the cover for the story, basically. What book were you in?
I was in volume 23.
Do I have
right there? I don't know if it'll show up well on camera, but I can find the picture.
I think I have 25 up or 26 up. Let's see, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30. Oh, and then I got that case, the 10-year case.
So that's what mine looked like. So you could see as soon as I walked in, I could tell that it was. Oh yeah, it was about Saturn. But it's gorgeous, and as I say, all this is pointillism. So those are individual dots making up the black background of space. So it's great to have that up on.
So where were you for the awards? I mean, because I know Writers Future is not always in L.A. It's in other places. So
Yeah,
I'll try.
we were close. We were in Pasadena, and we actually got to go to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory on a tour as part of the
Oh, that
week,
was cool.
which was a real kick for me because
I would like that.
the story that I wrote was based on some of the findings of the Cassini probe that was sent out to Saturn, which was built at JPL. So I got to see like a model, a scale model of the probe itself. And yeah, we got a great tour of that place and got to meet some of the literal rocket scientists, and it was a great time.
Well, when it comes to space, I'm like super geek, man. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I just learned this morning. I won a $500 bet this morning because we had a group bet on how the astronauts were going to get back from.
I just heard, yeah,
So I told everybody
they're not gonna let them come back on the Boeing.
no, they
Rough
come
times
back.
for Boeing these days.
Elon's got to come save their ass on SpaceX. So
Yeah, but not till February of next year.
Well, no, they're going up pretty soon. They're just not coming back till February.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, they're going up. I forgot. I forgot when they were going up, but they're going up long before they come back. So they're going up, and I guess they're going to bring more supplies now, and then they're going to stay up there until February. Then they're coming back and bringing the guys back. Hey, wait a minute. So what are you telling me, Boeing? You can't even get a spaceship between now and February to go pick these guys up? That's luck. Just pack it up.
The worst canceled flight in history. It's just like
invest
there's a connecting flight in 6 months. We'll get you home in 6 months.
Boeing, just go back to building, advanced, planes and let SpaceX take care of the space flight. No, that's just too funny that SpaceX has got to go save him. Well, no, there's other. I mean, they didn't pick Bezos either. Jeff isn't. I'm fine with Jeff, but I mean, he's on a learning curve. Somehow or another, Elon's always had this luck with companies. It's like, he didn't start PayPal, but he sure turned it into a billion-dollar business. Same thing with Tesla. He didn't start Tesla, but he sure turned it into something massive. And here's SpaceX and Starlink, just global, phenomenal now. I mean, anybody who wants to launch anything now goes through SpaceX. NASA, oh yeah, they launch off of some NASA pad sometimes, but no, NASA uses them to launch guys. It's just anyway, and it's cool because if you're into near now science fiction, it's kind of cool because all that stuff can come into play. But I'm a big science fiction freak. I don't know where it came from, and I guess some of it's like science fiction fantasy more or less because of different types of things I like. Pete, what you got? What do you want to know, Pete? You want to know what his favorite science fiction television show? Do you even watch? Hey, look, not all authors watch TV, my friend.
I watch probably far too much television, truthfully.
I have evil.
I have too many streaming services, all of those. I still have cable, all of that kind of stuff. My favorite science fiction TV show probably has to be Star Trek Next Generation. That's kind of, for me, I think I was 10 when it came on, and I had watched, my dad had watched the original. Sometimes I'd be around and I'd see it in reruns. But we always had to leave for church. It was on Sunday mornings at 10, and we had to leave at 10:30. So I only ever saw the first half of episodes. So I don't know if Kirk managed to fight off that Gorn or not. I hope he got out of that okay. But when I was about 10, Next Gen came on, and the first couple seasons were a little rough, but by the third season, it really started hitting every episode out of the park. So that's, I've watched that show probably more times than it's healthy to admit having watched. My wife always jokes, right? Like if I'm cooking in the kitchen or something, I've got something on in the background. It's always like Next Generation, so she laughs at me for that. So,
well, there's a couple of them like that I catch flack for because I'll have them playing in the background. I was a big fan of. I mean, I grew up with the original Star Trek, but and even when I grew up with it was in syndication. It wasn't, but still, Kirk always got the girl.
Yeah,
I mean, they must have modeled every sci-fi, and I'm not just talking people just Star Trek. I'm talking about any sci-fi thing. When it comes to the guy character, a lot of them are just based on Kirk. It's just kind of sad because he was a womanizer. People, get out of here. I mean, I'm not hating on him. I mean, it's just that was the time, that was the period, and people want to get mad today when they watch. You can't get mad about that. That's how it was back then. It's not like, well, yeah, I don't want to say it's not like that today because it probably is, but I like Next Generation was good. I remember watching the first one, thinking this may be really good or really sucky. I'm not sure which way it's good. So I
Yeah,
like
it
the
took them
Q.
a
I
while
mean,
to find their
yeah.
footing, but once they did, it was all right.
Yeah. Well, I liked Q. I thought Q was going to be a very interesting character. I wasn't exactly sure about the giant spaceship octopusy things at the end, but well, I mean, I'm not hating. I mean, they weren't horrible, and it's I don't know. It just kind of left me wondering, is what it did.
Yeah.
And then when it killed Tasa off in the first season, I was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, this is definitely a different kind of Star
Yeah,
Trek.
no kidding. Yeah, no, not even a red shirt, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but this is a star got killed. It was you were
Yeah.
kind of like, wow, what happened here? No, guys. So what have you been? I mean, you've been writing pretty good since then. Let me ask you this, because I know it's going to come up sooner or later. Have you got to the point where you're making a living at, or you do it for a living, or you just do it for fun, or both?
I do make my living writing, but not entirely from fiction. Mostly, I do freelance business writing, and
That's
that pays the bills. I find it interesting most of the time.
Well, I know a couple of authors that do things like that. Like one of them,
Yeah.
he does. He actually writes business law for somebody, and then another one puts business accounting plans together via. I would put me over the edge.
Well, I've been lucky that I've been able to write for things that I kind of find interesting anyway, like a lot of tech and a lot of things like that. So
yeah,
tech
I can deal with,
and some work for like space kind of stuff. So that's I find that interesting anyway. And then the fiction is on the side, for sure. But the dream is always that it will someday support like replace the day job, right? Become the day job. So.
All you need is that one good book. The one good book that becomes a movie. What's that, Christopher? Well, all right, I shouldn't have said it like that. Depending on who you are, okay, one good book don't always make an author an author. I mean, there's a lot of good books out there that were turned into movies, and the movies were even decent, but they just never seemed to go anywhere after that. Even though some of them actually wrote some pretty good books after that.
Yeah.
We're talking about Dune. I was not happy with Dune 2. Don't even get me started on that shit. It's excuse my language. I don't like to curse on this show. It's no, I was doing politics like last night. The only show I'm allowed to curse on is the Friday night show. All the rest of them I can't. But no, I like. Okay, I thought they did a pretty good remake of Dune 1. I said, okay, that's fine. Or the first half of Dune, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second looked like it, but they left out a lot of good stuff, like a lot of the weirding stuff, a lot of the witch stuff. And then they're going to go start a galactic war in the universe. I'm like, oh, where did this come from? That's not what the book said. So anyway, I was just, I don't know. That was
I did like both parts of the new Dune, but they did cut a lot of stuff out just for time. I always thought the miniseries did a really great job. If you watch that old sci-fi TV miniseries, that it did a good job of sort of following. I thought the book's pretty faithfully from start to finish. So,
well, I was talking with Kevin this past year, and I was asking him about it, and I was like, dude, I said, y'all are killing me with this. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, we want to expand it into the Dune world, Joe. He said, we want to really, bring more Deeb out and expand it into the galaxy and expand it. And I can understand that they want to make I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the next Star Wars or Star Trek. I understand that, but man, come on. Couldn't you have done it a different way? Let more Deeb die. Let his kids do it or some shit. Because that's what they did in the miniseries and when they did the Children of Dune.
Children of Dune, yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
I'll be curious to see what he's talking about doing Dune Messiah now, and I'll be curious to. I just reread that one again recently, and it gets pretty weird, and like in a way that if people only know the first couple of Villeneuve movies, they might not expect the weirdness, like the Guild Navigator and all this stuff, right? So I'm like, I don't know how they're going to introduce that in the next one and have it sort of seem like it fits, but we'll see.
What's that, Randy? You like the first one the best? I like the first one too. Well, Picard's in the first one, or I should say Patrick's. I'm sorry, it's Picard's in the first one, but no, it's Patrick's in the first one. And you know what? He looks just like he did in Star Trek, which was like 10 years later.
I know. He doesn't age, that guy. I know. It's crazy.
Man, it was crazy. I was like, come on, man.
Somewhere there's a painting of him in an attic.
Oh, he's got like one of my best favorite series. What is it when he walks wild out into the ass and like a wild ass? I'll go into the desert and do my job or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's when he's talking to the king when he's leaving, when they first got to Dune. Well, you got to go watch it to know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, whatever one you watch, I mean, there's 3 or 4 versions out there you can go watch now. I know Kevin J. Anderson had something to do with this one, and what's his name? Son. What's his name?
Frank Herbert's son, Brian Herbert.
Yeah, Brian Herbert. He had something. Well, I know him because they come. Well, Kevin's a judge at Writers of the Future, so I've met him in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
he's pretty laid back guy. I don't think he actually wrote anything in this one. I think he did something else in this one.
He was a consultant of some kind for for the part 1. I don't know about part 2.
No, he was
his name was in the credits. I saw it. I said, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, he was in part 2, and I remember they said he did something else. I don't know, guys.
I'm not sure.
We're gonna find out. I think they said early 2026 for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see what comes out, what they come up with. There is talk about a TV series as well. Maybe
the
Steven,
focus on the Bene Gesserit, I think.
See, man, maybe you should start writing and getting you a TV series going on here, man. You know, I tell this to people all the time. You can submit like 3 or 4 episodes to get a TV series going. Netflix and Hulu and everybody and their mom is looking for material. It's just not even funny. I mean, I had met with Netflix. Actually, I didn't know they were Netflix at the time. I was out filming for Ancient Aliens in Los Angeles. This is before COVID, right before COVID too.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd given me my own personal, I don't know what you call it, valet, I guess. And she ran me all over and took me places. And while I wasn't, filming, and she said, "Look, they're going to be a party tonight, a big gala thing. You ought to come." She said, "Just put on one of your suits and come." So I said, "All right, pick me up." We went, and I met a couple of people there, and I was telling them about one of the other things I do on the side. And he said, "Oh man, that would make a good, like a little good series or something." He said, "Would you like to come in for an audition?" He said, "Like 10 or 11." I said, "Man, my plane leaves at 10." He said, "Well, look, how about for 6 a.m.? Would you come in for 6?" I was like, "Well, we're talking money here. Why not?" So I went in 6 a.m. He said they really liked it. They called me like 5 days later, said, "This is what we want to do." And basically, I'm just a narrator is what I am over a reenactment. But because of the organization I work for, it knows what's going on with the reenactments. That's why I'm the narrator. But anyway, so it was getting all set up. And then, of course, COVID came.
Right.
Didn't hear anything for like 3 years. And then I got a phone call about 12 months ago saying, "Hey, would you still be interested? Blah, 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 blah." And then they were whining about the economy. And then we shot the pilot in 2 episodes, and then we shot 2 more. And I'm supposed to be going out the end of next month to shoot 2 more episodes. But they don't even really need me there because all they need is a good background behind me of whatever they want, which they can send. Unless because I shot in the pilot. This is behind me.
Okay.
And so it's all I'm doing is talking about what's going on in these people, what's happening throughout the whole hour that we're on. And actually, it's about 46 minutes. And it's interesting, fun. It's fun for me to do because, I some of the reenactments are done on cases that I worked, so I know the outcome ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it easier to do them. And some of them are surprise cases, but we'll see how it goes.
Cool. I've never done any on-camera work, but I have done some voiceover stuff. Actually, I have a podcast as well. And some people have reached out based on the podcast and said, "Hey, do you ever do voice work?" And I said, "Yeah." That was one thing I learned from Kevin at Writers of the Future. Was you say, "Yeah, I can do that, even if you don't know you can't."
Well, I mean, it's
been a lot of fun to do that voiceover work.
It is. It's somebody because I was talking to a friend not too long ago. We have shows right now. We don't currently have any in the network, but we do from time to time have scripted shows in the network. Like comedy shows or murder shows or whatever. It could be anything. We've had all kinds of stuff. We had one that was living on the wild. It was funny as hell, and it was all scripted out. So and they even started using sound effects there towards the end. They got picked up, and then COVID came, and then they got dropped. And I was like, which surprised me since everybody needed so much material in COVID. I mean, they were looking for everything. We started getting pulled in on networks I never even heard of. I mean, we were on a lot of networks to start off with because of our original expansions, but So today, every time you join one, like if you do SoundCloud, well, they're going to connect you to 8 others. If you're on Podbean, they're going to connect you to 10 others. If you're on Spreaker, they're going to connect you to 10 others. And
Yeah,
of course, those 10 others.
I'm on Libsyn, I think, and they've got all kinds of connections.
Yeah, I'm on there.
Send that out.
So currently, I think the last count was somewhere around 200 different podcast sites. What's that, Jenny? That's all archive sites. Live sites, you either have to have an invitation, be on one of our outbound servers, which, well, the way it's set up is we have special servers for the people who carry us outside of here.
Mm-hmm.
We usually have one server connected on the internet on our website for you to listen, but right now we don't. No, it's the company is having issues with the code. No, they said they'll have it wrapped up in the next day or so, but it does bite. But you can also catch us on Pal Talk or Roku or any of the other places like that, Rumble or any places like that. We're live on all of those, which also send us out to other live places. Yes. So what do you mean fantasy sci-fi? So Ginger is asking about writing some kind of oh wait. So she wants you to do Lord of the Rings in space.
That's probably already been done.
I was, when she said, I was wondering, maybe it has been. Right? There's a lot of weird space movies out there. I don't know my favorite space movie. I don't even ask me because I don't know. Steven's probably got it more together, so he might actually know what his favorite space. There's too many of them I like.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I do love the Star Trek movies. I love the Star Wars movies. But I what I really liked. It's not really set in space, but The Martian is actually one that I keep watching again and again, based on the Andy Weir book, the one starring Matt Damon. It was I thought it was really well done, and
it was pretty well done. And that, well, you know what? Come to think about it, there's four movies about Mars. Well, one was a TV series, but there's 3 movies in the TV series I really like, because there's the TV series is just called Mars. That's all. It's just that's the name of it, and it's about colonizing Mars. But what makes it special is in between the regular scenes for the movie, there's cut-ins of real scientists talking about how this works or that works.
I think I've seen some of that.
Yeah, and they got the guys from SpaceX, and Elon Musk is actually in it as well. He's actually in it talking. Mm-hmm. So it lends a little bit of credibility to it. And I think
if you're looking for space comedy, it's hard to beat Galaxy Quest. That's a real
Galaxy Quest,
a real fantastic movie. Yeah, that's a great.
Yes,
just watched that again recently.
That's a spoof on Star Trek. I just looked at this. Yes, yeah. It is. It's a hilariously one. Actually, seeing Sigourney Weaver actually do that part was great.
Yeah,
I've never seen everybody comedy before.
It was fantastic. It was a great one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a joy to watch. Give me my own personal. I don't know. When it comes to TV series, I got 4 or 5. I like because I like Near now, so I can get away with watching any of the Star Treks. I do like Generations. I liked Babylon 5. And I do like The Expanse and Altered Carbon. I was surprised because anytime I see TNA in the first 2 minutes of a TV series or a TV show or a movie, I tend to not want to watch it. What do you mean you don't know what TNA is? Really? I can't say that on this show. No. Well, if you don't know what it is, I don't. But anyway, usually when I see that, I just turn it off. Well, in The Expanse, the first 2 or 3 episodes, there's quite a bit of sex in it. And in Altered Carbon, it's just pretty much nudity the entire movie. But the sci-fi is really good. Expansive sci-fi is really good. And Altered Carbon is about, how we can download our consciousness into different bodies. Yes, which is something that we've been working on now since legally. I know we've been working on since 2000, but the guy who did the carbon chip thing was 1994. The one who put the chip in his head and actually recorded memories on the chip. Yeah, that was in 1994. Because people, if you can upload your consciousness into a new body, then your lifespan is pretty much unlimited. Yeah, I mean, you can live as long as nothing happens to your consciousness. Yes, just new.
But is that you, or is it just a copy of you?
Yes,
There's
it
been a lot of
is.
great science fiction
That
books about that question too.
yes. Yeah, after the first one, is it just a copy of a copy of the copy of the copy of the copy? Well, what I mean is that the soul still leaves, and then it's just a copy of your consciousness that's being put out there. You're a soulless beast, is what you are. I don't know. We haven't done it yet, so I guess we're gonna find out in the near future. What is that, Frank? It's oh, hey, Michelle, I didn't even see you in there. It's I don't. It's hard. I mean, how do you get inspiration, Stephen? I mean, do you just like sit around and just pops in your head, or you see something at work, or you're
It's
walking
kind of, yeah, it's
along,
kind of
or
a
the wife just
combination.
reaches over and goes, "Pop!" Don't you?
It's kind of a combination of all of those. I think a little bit of being a writer, and I think this is something that you can train yourself to do. I think you probably have a little bit of an inclination for it, but you can train yourself to kind of encounter something, and then it just sort of makes you think, well, what if it wasn't this way, but what if it was that way? Or what if what would the consequence be if this happened? Or like you're walking down the street and like what if a meteor hit right now, or all these kinds of, it's just sort of the classic what if question of science fiction, or even of fantasy too, right? And I think as you begin to write more and sort of try and look at the world as a writer more, that sort of inspiration comes to find you more. It's not a matter of sitting around waiting for it. It's just a matter of sort of a lens that you look at information in the world and your experiences through. I mean, I've written stories based on snippets of conversation I've heard on, the one that won Writers of the Future was based on an article that I read about the fact that the Cassini probe had detected radio waves coming from the meteor, or the rings of Saturn, the little micrometeors that make up the rings. So when they were impacting, they were giving off what are essentially radio waves, and you could turn those, if you sort of pitch them down, you could turn them into sounds. My first thought was, well, somebody's got to play a symphony on the, using those as an instrument, right? So Michael Crichton supposedly came up with the idea for Jurassic Park when he read a little like paragraph long article in New Scientist about being able to pull DNA out of mosquitoes trapped in amber, and then it became it's this multi-billion-dollar franchise now, right? So it's I wrote a story based on something my daughter said. She was about 4 and she was sitting in the back of the car and she said something and I went, hey, that's a story idea, so it's just, it kind of, if, as I say, if you look at the world through that kind of lens, that the ideas tend to come and find you.
It is interesting where ideas like that come from, because I was watching, like, did they do the 24-hour story when you won?
Yes, that's, I think that's an element of every year.
As far as I know, it is. But
yeah,
I always like to ask, ladies and gents, when the winners, while they're being sequestered at the hotel, we'll say, or they have to write a story in 24 hours. Authors do. No, they want a legit story. You got to remember who they're writing for. These are, like Tim Powers. This is the guy who's responsible for the Caribbean movies. Arthur Scott. Well, no, Scott Card's usually not there. He's usually, even though he's involved, he doesn't seem to be there as a judge as much. But then you have Kevin J. Anderson and Rob Sawyer and Dean and Leslie Dean Smith and quite a few others besides that. And I mean, these are some big names in the field, so they expect you. They want you to, mystify them tomorrow. They want to see good sci-fi or good fantasy, or good, what is it, like 10 categories, I think, for Writers of the Future. They want to see it. So and what amazes me is how many of these people do this 24-hour story and go on to sell the damn thing. That is amazing in itself. It's also fun to watch y'all's faces when y'all start. Well, guys, I mean, I get some of these people I talk to. They're like, I wrote the damn thing 3 times, got up tore it up 3 different times, woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and wrote the things, and they got to be there at 8.
Yeah. Well, and supposedly, and I don't know if this is true, but what I heard, and maybe, I don't know, this is maybe not the case since I was there, but supposedly no one has ever failed to finish the story in 24 hours. Part of the exercise is to help you to prove to you that you can do this. If you really, because the whole thing about like, oh, it's taking me forever to write the story and it's like, well, if you have this ticking clock and you have to hand it in at 5:00 the next day, and the judges are, a couple of the judges are going to read them and critique them in the group with the authors, you better not be the one who didn't do the homework, right? So but it's true about what you say about people. I know people who published the ones that they wrote at the contest. The Tony Pye, who was another Canadian winner in my year, he was actually editing his story on the plane as we were flying back, and he ended up selling that one to Clark's World, I think, which is a major professional magazine. And some of the stories, a couple of the stories that we read in the workshop, I had no notes. I was like, this, I couldn't have written a story this good if I had all the time in the world, and you wrote it in 24 hours. I'm like, wow, I hate you.
Some of them were good stories. I got to say, I wrote a few of them. I do like the fact that they throw them to the bottom of the stairs, and whoever's lands is the one.
That's right. Yeah. That's Tim's tactic. Yeah.
Yeah. Say, what do you mean, Chris? No. They take them. They throw them. Yeah, they literally throw them down the stairs, and whichever ones land a certain way, that's the ones they're going to talk about. What's a fair way of picking a story? Because you never know. They don't have time to go through. There's 12 winners, so they don't have time to go through all the stories.
I think we did 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah, that's and it depends on how well a story is written. No, they're honest. No, they critique everything. They're honest. That's what they're there for. They're there to make you a better author. To get out there and they be able to do it. And as far as I know, no one has failed. I'll ask John when I talk to him again, but as far as I know, no one has failed to get the 24-hour story.
Yeah, no, that's what I heard too.
Well, this was their 40th anniversary, John. Yeah, this was their 40th year. Yes, it was a lot of fun, and they had to get it under control. Well, year before last, they got a little crazy on how they did their scheduling. I mean, it was insane. It was too intense. Yeah, and man, it made it hard for people like me because I'm down there as press. So I just go down to do interviews, and the intent they gave them, put my pretty face up. So somebody's got to help that place look better. I mean, come on. It's no, you'll see. Actually, you will see my face on the camera a couple of times, but the gala's a lot of fun. It's they do a really good job on the gala. John's wife does it now. She does a really good job putting it together. I shouldn't say that. I should say Emily Jones is vice president of Galaxy Press. She does it, yes. Just in case she's listening. We love you, baby. It's what's that? What? Well, what are you asking? What is his favorite genres to write in? That's what you're asking? Well, I would tell you to read, but Stephen, why don't you tell him what your favorite genres to write in are?
Yeah, I actually was doing a count the other day. So I have one collection of short stories called 7 Against Tomorrow, which actually includes the story that won Writers of the Future. And that one's about half and half science fiction and fantasy. And then I was looking through all of the other stories, the short stories that I've published since that first collection came out. And I have another one, and I have another, basically for a collection double that length. And they actually sort out about half fantasy and half science fiction as well. So I'm hoping to maybe get that out next year. But it's basically 50-50 science fiction, fantasy. Very rarely something sort of supernatural horror-y. There's a story that just came out in a collection called Tenebrous Antiquities. That is essentially a zombie Aztec Spanish conquistador story. Very different for me, but a lot of fun to write. And so that's sort of as dark as I'll go, but mostly it's science fiction and fantasy, about 50-50, and then every once in a while something maybe a little slightly darker.
Yeah, it's fun.
I've tried to write mainstream stories. I just can't do it. There always ends up being a ghost or a dragon or a robot or something show up. I don't know why. They just come out that way. I don't know why.
It's because they get boring. That's why.
Yeah, it's like I know what real life is like. I know what reality is like. It's overrated. I want dragons and spaceships.
That's a friend of mine. He said, I can't write about boring everyday life. He said, I got to live that shit as it is, man. He said, right. I got to have some fantasy in my life. And I got another friend of mine, Nick Redford. He writes 9 to 5. I don't know how he does it. He's got literally like 130 books to his credit now. It's all published. All do fairly well. I'm like, how do you? So I just sit down and write. says, my job. That's what I do. I'm like, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man.
With the day job, with the business writing, I can usually write for about 6 hours, but that's a little more straightforward because it's reality. If it's something I'm just making up from whole cloth, I can get 3, maybe 4 on a really good day. It's just it's too taxing for my brain to make up too much more in a single sitting. So
look, anybody who can write, I've tried over the years. I just don't. It's not a talent that I have, but I've a couple of times I've got a good chunk of word jot, then I go back and read it. I'm like, nope, delete. John's like, stop doing it. Send it to me before you delete. I said, too late. Delete. Because Emily, because I've taken the Writers of the Futures course over there a couple of times. It's actually a cool little course. Writersoffuture.com, there's a course you can go take, and to help you if you don't quite understand how everything being an author works. It's has some really pretty big names on it too. All you can do is take it and see what it does for you. Yeah, writersoffuture.com. Oh, you mean one of these? No, you see, all of these are all every book you see behind me, except for my collection of great philosophers, is all autographed books. Yeah, but I always leave them up there because we do give away a lot of books from Writers of the Future and other authors. That's why Wolf's books up there. We've given a couple of his away, so. And I just leave them up there. They eventually get replaced with somebody else's book. It gets pushed over, moved over, or something.
Do we want to give away a book?
Well, yes. You know what? Since we were talking about Star Trek in the very beginning, to the first person who tells me who was the race that was in the very first Star Trek generation, the race that was on the planet that built the starbase, if you can tell me their name, we'll send you a book. How's that? I'll have Stephen send you a book.
Send you
Come on, people. Book. It cannot be that complicated, okay?
A little backwards in your thing, but
yeah. Somebody we gave away one last night, and somebody wanted to know the host had asked a question, what was the first letter and the second name of Captain Kirk? And of course everybody thinks it's Tiberius, so they put T. But anyway, it's one of the things. Come on, people. Well, we're here. We still got another 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And if for some reason you don't get it, I can always email Stephen. I got his email.
Yeah.
It's come on, y'all can really. I know there's quite a few Star Trek fans that listen to this show. I know it's not like
this is an award-winning anthology. You gotta get your answer in, get a copy. Together. This one just won the Aurora Award, and it's up for the World Fantasy Award, the year's best Canadian fantasy and science fiction. So
yes,
Volume 1, Volume 2 will be out in fall. So
the Banshee. Well, I said that out loud, didn't I? It didn't matter because you got it right. It's yes, the ones that looked like they lived in villages, but yet were building massive star bases. I was a little confused about that one. Well, that's what we were talking about in the very first episode. It was a little. It's not like Discovery, though. At least Generation stayed on Star Trek lore. Discovery went to I don't know where the hell Discovery went. It got so bad that Discovery had to go into the future to get out of trouble with the Star Trek fans. Look, we knew. It's like anything. When you have solid lore, like in Doctor Who and in Star Trek, and you go try to do something stupid like rewrite the Klingon War, I mean, even the young people know that's not how that happened. So they get upset about it, and it hurts your ratings. I told everybody the same thing. Discovery was good sci-fi. It was just lousy Star Trek.
Yeah, I would agree. I like to think of those as sort of anytime you don't like one, it's like an alternate universe. It's just just another pocket universe, and you just ignore it if you don't like it.
No, Dean, I'm serious. I mean, as far as sci-fi goes, it was fine. It just when it came to Star Trek,
it didn't have that Star Trek feel.
Plus, where did Spock get his sister from? I mean, we've got Spock through how many movies? It's 9 movies in 3 years, and oh, come on, man, he never had no sister. Where did his sister come from? He had a brother. He talked about his brother. I don't know. It's things like that. People get kind of like, yeah, I don't know. You mean Strange New Worlds? Well, I'm giving Strange New Worlds the benefit of the doubt. It does kind of remind me of the original series. a little bit. And remember, we know Captain Pike has a history, and we know Kirk has a history, and they're already screwing around with Kirk on his series. Just friendly warning, people. Just a friendly warning. Oh, I'll never watch Doctor Who again. What are you talking about? Doctor Who ruined me this year. They just ruined me. Nothing I can talk about on this show. How's that? Yes. Come ask us on Friday night. We'll tell you about it. We're not going to talk about it here. I think the new actor's fine. If that's what you're asking me, yeah. I have no problem with the guy who plays it. I just have a problem with the writing. Yes. Or whoever allows for the writing to be written that way. However you want to say it. I don't really care. Well, no, I'll ask him, Chris. So Chris wants to know, since you like Generations, did you like Janeway and Deep Space Nine?
I did. Deep Space Nine, I mean, I watched them both in first run. Deep Space Nine, again, it was a little bit like Next Gen, where it kind of took a couple of seasons to really get going. Once the sort of Dominion got introduced and the Dominion War started, it really picked up. That's the one show that I think has aged or maybe gotten more relevant over time. Like it's so prescient, talking about, like, you know, a democracy at war and the compromises that war creates for democracies and stuff. And you know, particularly in the early 2000s and stuff, I thought it was really speaking to kind of, you know, current events in a way that it maybe even wasn't when it was in its first run. I liked Voyager. I think that Ron Moore kind of learned the lessons of Voyager and applied them to Battlestar Galactica in a really great way. You know, like the whole idea of this ship all on its own, you know, without ability to resupply and stuff. And the problem with Voyager was, you know, it would get, you know, half blown up every episode, and then by the next time it would look pristine again, like it just got, you know,
I know,
polished up at a starbase or something, the way that, like, you know, the Enterprise would. I think if they had played into the, hey, we're lost, we're on our own, you know, it's hard to, you know, get parts, and, you know, it's, you know, we're losing people, like they always did the Star Trek thing, right, which is somebody dies and it's, we'll mourn later, and they're never mentioned again. And you know, like you could do whole episodes about, like, okay, we lost 4 people on the last away mission, like who's going to pick up their shifts, and, you know, what does that do to all the, you know, relationships on the crew and stuff. And they just never really drilled down into that. So there was a lot I liked, particularly, again, that was one where I think once they introduced 7 of 9, there was a lot, and the Borg more. There was a lot more interesting storylines and stuff. And I actually personally think that my favorite Star Trek finale of all time is the Voyager one. And I like how it just stops at the end. It's maybe a controversial take. Not everybody's a fan, but I actually thought that one was the best, best ending of all of them. So, but
Jackie, that's when the other Janeway goes back in time. It's now they're all pretty good. Well, the Generations, when come to think about it, when Picard's traveling back and forth in time, seems to be a lot of time traveling going on there. Newest, favorite is new. What are you talking about? Favorite is newest. It makes no sense. Are you talking about, like, from when? Give me a date. Because right now the two new are Discovery and
favorite new Trek. You mean?
Oh, okay. You're trying to squeeze in Enterprise. Okay, no, okay. Enterprise. I mean, Scott Bakula was kind of a big role. I mean, it was kind of a big person to play that role, but I had no problems with Enterprise. I actually liked the Vulcan girl. She was hot. I don't think it would have mattered what she was doing, actually. Yeah, that's a shame on me, but I don't know. I mean, I never really thought about Enterprise. I watched the series. I didn't dislike it or like it. I don't think. It felt a little out of place because its technology was better than the original series.
The original series, yeah, exactly.
So it made it hard to, even though, I mean, they went with the EXO, I mean, with the craft and all, and they made it less and slower and all that. I mean, they tried, but I mean, honestly, you know, they had monitors up there. It just unfortunately, their tech looked better than the first generations did. So it kind of made it hard to swallow it in whole, but it was a fun series to watch. As long as you didn't take it too seriously, it was fun to watch. I don't know. I will be looking forward to Giorgio's new movie. What was that? Well, not Area 51. What is it? Section 31 or something?
Oh yeah, I heard they were doing something about Section 31.
Yes, they got a movie coming out
Yeah.
with Emperor Giorgio. Empress Giorgio. Sorry, guys. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That gives him a lot of room to play around because apparently Section 31 can do whatever the hell they want. You send me, just email me at icar@cox.net, icar@cox.net. Just send me your address to where you want it sent to. Yeah, send me your name and address. Yeah, and then I'll send it over to Stephen. Just you can message me and let me know when you sent it over. Yeah, just let me know. Well, no, I can email him whenever you send it. Well, I can't help it if you have children. Steven's got like 12, so he don't hear him big. Yeah.
Only 3. It feels like 12 sometimes. If
Jeez.
this late in the summer, when you're just like counting the days till they go back, it feels like 12.
The heathens. What's it? What do you mean, Christopher? No, mine's grown. I have some stepchildren, but all of the children in our family have grown. We have grandchildren and great grandchildren now. Oh yes, and I'm way too young to be a great grandpa, but still I have some. I know, ain't that a bitch? It's too complicated to explain. You gonna be anywhere lately? Anybody can come find you, get a book signing, or just come shake hands?
If anybody will be at the World Fantasy Convention in October, which is in Niagara Falls, New York this year, I will be attending there. That's again where this collection is up for the World Fantasy Award, up against some pretty big names, including Jordan Peele, the Hollywood comedian director guy. So he co-edited a volume. I'm up competing against that. We'll see which one wins.
Right, yeah.
But I'll be at the World Fantasy Convention, and then I'll also be, if anybody is in Canada or wants to venture to Ottawa in November, I'll be at CanCon in Ottawa, which I think runs like the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of November. So, yeah, absolutely, come and find me there for sure.
What's this, Frank? What are you talking about? English, man. English. Y'all, when y'all speak jibber jabber, I just want to reach through the screen and smack somebody. Sooner or later, there's going to be smack-o-vision. I can see it coming. And y'all going to all be in trouble. All y'all people. Me and my coon ass self going to just start smacking people all over the place. No, Frank, you're such an idiot. I swear. No, we're going to have John Goodwin joining us in just a little bit. I'm sending him an invite right now, but hopefully I'm sending it to the right damn place. It's he's traveling right now. He's in Tampa. He's at Tampa Con. If I remember right, he was giving he was on a panel just before now. He was actually probably still on the panel. Yes. It's like, them panels. Well, no, all them cons have those panels, where the Chippendales come in and they just do it with books. That's all. I should be in Dragon Con. Yeah, I usually go. Well, no, Steven's a Canuck. He's in Canada, where my manager is. Well, let me rephrase that. So, my manager's in Niagara Falls, Canada, and her host is in Quebec, I believe, or is it Toronto? I don't know. She's in Toronto or Quebec. I can't remember which one now. Whichever one's the closest to Niagara Falls is where she's at.
Toronto would be closest, yeah.
And then we have 2 hosts in BC and Vancouver. We have 2 hosts in Saskatchewan. We have another host somewhere out on the East Coast in a place I've never, ever heard of. When I looked it up on a map, it was like a spot.
Prince Edward Island?
I don't know where. No, I would remember Prince Edward. Okay. It might have been a spot and a spot next to Prince Edward. Okay. It was. I asked him, "You sure you get internet out there?" It's. I think altogether we have six hosts from Canada on the network, including our manager. And then, you mean we have hosts from I think 4 countries or 5 countries, including the United States. We're all over the place. I mean, the UFO on the cover legitimately goes out to every country on the planet, including places like it has 15 listeners in North Korea. It started with one. Well, the internet is banned in North Korea, so are cell phones, so are cars for that matter. Shit, things like abortions. I mean, the country's very weird. But just to know we got listeners there means it's either someone that's rogue getting in a group together and listening, huddled down in some dark room somewhere, or somebody important that has the ability to listen. Well, not everyone. It's not everyone in Korea is treated equally. Let's just leave it at that. There could be a conversation for 3 shows. No, but it does. It legit goes out to, hey, we got listeners in Venezuela, Cuba, you name it. There's nowhere we don't go. But the show is also 26, 28 years old now. It's been around for a while. And then it goes out on 200 live venues as well as over 200 archive venues. Yeah, so, but most of our shows and archives all go over to 200. Lives just vary. This is a fairly new show. It ranges anywhere from 88 countries to about 135 countries. And I like to call those the primary countries, the European countries, the Asian countries, places like that, Middle Eastern countries, some of the South American countries,
Well, it's actually that's a good reminder to me. If anybody, no matter where you are in the world, is interested in getting an ebook copy of Year's Best Canadian Fantasy and Science Fiction, it's actually on sale. Should be through every vendor where you can get ebooks. Should be on sale this weekend, so August 24th, 25th, and 26th, and maybe even into the 27th, for $1.99 or local equivalent. So if you want to grab a copy cheap and get a look at the ebook version of the collection, then now this weekend is the weekend to do it. It should be available everywhere. It is a global sale. So yeah, that's, if you got listeners in that many countries, it should be available for cheap in every one of them. So
yes, it's weird. It's weird because like when we're doing open mic nights, you start getting so many people from different places, and you can tell a lot of them are using translators to talk to you, because
right.
It's the way they put their vowels and stuff like that. They get them out of sync. But anyway, it's interesting because you have on the cover for a long time the British audience, the island audiences, I like to call them, dominated our station as far as getting calls in. They would just they would stack up. They were stacking up before we were going live, and just all night long. And people say, oh, you can take a lot of calls. Well, not really. If I take a call and say I give you 5 or 10 minutes, depending on what the question is, 5 minutes to answer, and if we have a commentary, so that's 10 minutes. Well, man, at the best you're getting in is 5 calls an hour, plus you got commercial breaks and stuff. So it's hard, and sometimes we'll let people come in and make just a comment real fast. But even they a lot of times can't shut up. They got to ramble on, and they just can't. They know they got to be quick, but they got more and more they got to have to say. Well, shows like that get extended, yes. And panel shows, you're talking about panel. We do panel shows, but the problem with panel shows is you'll have 6 or 8 hosts that are all experts in their field, been in their fields probably 30 years or more. So when you ask them a question, it's not going to be this answer; it's going to be this answer. And of course, even on a 4-hour panel show, it blows through it really fast. Yeah. No, John Goodwin. Y'all have heard John before. John's been on the show before. Yeah, John's been on the show a few times. He's been on this show. He co-hosts with me on this show a lot of times. Yeah, a lot of weeks he's co-hosting with me. Go buy Stephen's book. Go get it.
Good advice.
Oh, yes, I agree. It is good. What's that, Dean? Okay, I agree, Dean, that every book should have an audio version. I do agree with that. But trying to convert every book to audio is impossible. It's impossible. First off, do you just want to order a book read to you? Stephen's got a pretty good voice, so if he really wanted to, or if he had the time, because it takes time to read a book. Now, he knows his own books because he's written them, but still, it's sitting there. You have to pay attention to the tone of your voice. You can't get too monotone. Because I do experiments, like in the old days in the shows, I use a real flat monotone voice. The audience would just be like, they wouldn't go anywhere because they were just hypnotized, basically. It's, or or you're going to allow for excitement in your voice at certain highlights or certain climaxes of the book, or you're just going to keep reading at a normal. That's all decisions that have to be made. Oh no, I've listened to some books that Edward L. Jones have read. Yeah, you can't stop listening, like an addiction or something. Yeah, the man's voice is just fabulous for listening to. For me,
sometimes it's sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say sometimes it's also a rights issue, like with something like the year's best fantasy in science fiction. It's not. It's just it's cost prohibitive to get audio rights for like there's like 36 stories or something. So, but one thing I do plan to do an audio version of Seven Against Tomorrow, which is my own collection of short stories. And I have all those rights, and I think I'd like to try and do some of that narration myself. So. It is something that I do want to get into more. As I say, I do a little bit of the voiceover stuff, so it would be nice to branch out into some audio stuff, as audio books, audio fiction too.
Well, it is. Hell, where's my phone at? It is fun to do, and for me, it's a matter of not so much that I don't like to read. It's a matter of I don't have the time to read. It's I would rather, like today, earlier today, I was in the middle of posting like 50 different archives. Well, I can't really stop to read because I have to be seeing what's going on the computer because I'm moving stuff around. But I can listen and still do everything else. So I can still absorb the book. It's like, the last 2 Writers of the Future books are now in audio form. So it makes it easier. And then and I live on the Gulf Coast now. My business is in New Orleans, so it's an hour, 10-minute drive each way every day. So I have time to listen. When I'm not doing work on something, I have time to listen. It's just nice.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's work related because, and I am a geek. I mean, I can listen to a schematic just as easy as a fantasy book. So shame on me, but, and you're not going to see me listening to true crime books. That would put me night like you wouldn't believe. I'd be like snoring away. I mean, and look, people, I'm not hating. To each his own. A lot of y'all like that kind of stuff. I like escapism because I have a busy life, so it's nice to just have some escapism time in it, escape from the bullshit, and not have to just to get away from the daily grind. And no, Kim, my life's not bad. It's still nice to escape into something that you don't have to think about other than the story itself. Or this sexy beastie man down here looking at us. Look at this sexy baby. Look at him. Woo, what's up, sexy man? What you doing? Oh, he can't even hear us. John, you can't hear us? No, we can't hear us.
What happened to you?
Never. I don't know. I can't hear you. Oh, now I didn't say something. Can you hear me now? Hello.
Hello. Okay, there we go. I had my earbuds on, but they cut out everything. So, hello, Joe. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, John. How are you?
We was just talking about how sexy you was, baby.
Yeah, we just finished a panel here with there's Rob Sawyer and Jody.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Jody.
So this is Joe Montaldo. I'm just on his show now.
Oh, sure.
We just started.
Hey, Rob. How you doing, baby?
He's saying hello to all
everybody looking good. And,
so we had a panel here. We just finished a panel at we're at Tampa Bay Comic Con, and we had 80 people there. A bunch of great questions, and so now we're just chatting away.
How is it in Tampa? Is it nice and cool and breezy and stuff?
Yeah, real nice and cool and breezy.
Hey, it's cool here right now. We're only 8 for some reason our weather switched this week. We're not getting above 88 all week here in the coast where I live, and most of the days it's gonna be like 82. I'm like, this freaking fall, man. What's happening?
Well, we brought some good weather with us this week, so you can thank me later.
That's good. We need some good weather. I'm hoping it's cool in Atlanta next week. It's so I mean, is it good? Is it busy or how's it doing?
It's going really good. It was like I said, it was a great panel, and we've got Rob and Jody there all weekend long, and it's good. We're going to be here for the rest of today and then tomorrow, and then we pack up and drive to Atlanta for Dragon Con, and we would have done Toronto, but they're not very book oriented yet. Rob Sawyer doesn't go there anymore too, because they're not book people anymore at the Toronto Comic Con, and they're into the Comic Cons. Some of them, to stay afloat, they need the celebrities, and so when they do the celebrities, that's what they do, the $100 for a photo and a picture.
All the little cosplay girls.
Money.
Yeah, I see them cosplay people make a lot of freaking money at them things.
I'll make a ton of money, and you get your A-list celebrities come in. When they come in, they won't go there unless they're guaranteed. The A-listers have to be guaranteed like $500,000 for the weekend, otherwise they won't come. And so it's
Steve and I said we want $500,000 for the freaking weekend, man.
I'll do it for half that in cash.
Steve's almost done there now. He's almost there. He's like, with all these awards he's winning and coming up for. I just hope he remembers us little people when he gets up there.
Yeah.
I know, huh? Hey, look, you never know who's going to take off. After your boy with the what the hell was that thing called?
Who's there?
Hey, say, whoa, who's that, man? That looks like an alien, John. Are you okay? Do I need to call like the alien patrol? I know who that is, Sarah. See, now if you need somebody to sell books, Steve, that's the woman right there, man.
Oh, I don't know. She was great. Yeah, I know Sarah.
You're the person.
Yes, but not pictures. She's too tight with them bitches.
Yeah, there we go. This is your picture right there.
Yes, but she sold the one I wanted, that witch. She
gave you like 3 years worth of chance, and you kept on saying no.
Well, because she wanted too much money for the damn thing.
No, she didn't.
What's that, Carly? Were you listening to us on the radio, Carly? No, you don't know what the hell's going on because you can't see anything. Do you have Roku? Do go pop on the Roku. You can watch us there, or Rumble, or anywhere, YouTube or Facebook, TikTok. No, not yet. We haven't put the TikTok back up, and we haven't put the Twitter back up yet because Elon decided he wants to charge us now for Twitter. That's Elon. I still love him, but he's getting on my nerves. He's an entrepreneur in the ass, is what he is, but still.
Yeah, well, at least we have one network where we got some free speech.
Yeah, that's true. And but we'll probably put it on next week. I was talking with Michelle about it the other day about when we're going to put them back on. Yeah, Roku. There you go, baby. You can watch us right on Roku. Just look for UFO Paranormal Radio or United Public Radio, either one. That's some weird
Steve,
purple
did you ever meet Jody Lynn Nye or Rob Sawyer?
Oh, Rob, I've known Rob for years, even before my involvement with Rage of the Future. But I don't think I've ever met Jody Lynn Nye.
Jody's a sweetie pie.
That's Rob right there behind me.
So you can't miss Rob.
Yeah, so he just finished the panel with me on Rage of the Future, both Jody and Rob. You're here at the Tampa Comic Con. Do you do conventions, Steve?
Yeah, I do. I have done a few, not as many in the last few years. Most of them up this way have kind of fallen on hard times since the pandemic. A lot of them have sort of folded, kind of closed up shop. Yeah. But we were just talking earlier. I'm going to be at the World Fantasy Convention later this year for the awards. The book is up for the award there. And I'll be at one in Ottawa called CanCon, which is runs in November, and that's actually one of the really great ones in Canada. So I've wanted to go for a long time, and it's the first opportunity. So it's going to be good.
That's good. But you're still teaching at the university?
No, not since I moved. I was doing that for five years, I think, teaching in the publishing program at what's now Toronto. It's called Toronto Metropolitan University. It's actually where Rob Sawyer went to school way back when it was under a different name. So yeah, I was teaching there for a long time. After sort of I worked in traditional publishing for a long time. So
yeah, I remember talking about that when you were on the podcast. You just talked about your book.
It's what the hell?
What?
Where's your other half at? Did you lock her in a closet again? John told you about that. You cannot be locking her in a closet when she's bad.
In Los Angeles. She has some other work to do, but she's flying out on Monday to Atlanta. I'm meeting her up in Atlanta on Tuesday.
That's because she's been a bad girl. I knew it. I'm writing to her ass. I knew she's been a bad girl.
No, Joe,
Christopher, what are we talking about?
You're
Who are
going to
we
be
talking
begging forgiveness when you next see her.
Oh, what do you mean, Chris? We're talking about we're talking about Emily, and we'll leave it at that. Who? Amelia.
My
No,
wife.
Amelia is somebody else. Amelia is Michelle DeRoche's co-host on The Outer Realm. Yes. Every now and then I do flip-flop their names. I guess because they're both Canucks. I don't know why. I just do. I don't know. It's a Freudian thing. They look nothing alike. No, they don't look nothing alike. They're two entirely different looking women. Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
Yes, they're both a lot of fun. No, Emily's just hard work, and that's all. She stays busy a lot. So she left you loose. So first she let you go over to Germany by yourself. Oh man.
No, that's not till October.
Yeah, but she already let you go once now. One of these years she's gonna be like, honey, let me go to Germany. No, John travels a lot. I mean, usually when I talk to him, what are you home? Like 2 months out of the year, 3 months out of the year?
A bit more than that. I'm not since the pandemic, I'm only traveling like 10 times a year now.
It's 10 times a year. That's like once a month for sure, guys. He goes all over the place. They need to start something in Vancouver because everybody keeps telling me they want to go up to Vancouver, but I can't think of no reason to go up there other than to visit friends.
Vancouver, isn't that where you've got the Stampede?
That's in Calgary, the Calgary Stampede. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They no, I mean we have shows out of there, got all kind of stuff out of there, but there doesn't seem to be anything else out of there.
There used to be, it was called VCon, used to run out of there, but I don't think they've run for a few years now. As I say, it's been hard for a lot of these Canadian conventions to keep going. I think it's just we don't have the population that the US does.
Yeah,
right? So,
I got the population of California, not even the population of California. As far as I know, there's nothing in Seattle now either. It used to be because you had the two populations and they're not that far apart, so they could run in between each other, but it doesn't seem to be like that anymore. I was talking to a friend of mine listening in Seattle the other day. He said, no, I go to Canada all the time, Jay. He says, right. He said, it's like a few miles away, basically. He said, but there's just nothing going on. He said,
Seattle's got Gen Con.
They, whatever it is, he don't like nothing in Seattle. I don't even want to say what he says about Seattle these days.
Anyway, that's a different subject.
Yes, because he used to love the place. Now, not so much now. Yeah, well, he's an author, but he's an author. He does, whatchamacallit? He does, I don't want to say nonfiction. It is nonfiction, but it's like technical journals is what he does.
Yeah.
He used to do law books, and then he got out of that, or actually finished his contract with that. And now he does some type of technical journals. And then he hand prints all of these, and then they run it through some kind of machine, and then it adjusts the font, and then it prints it out into thousands of copies. I was like, well, I said, somebody's reading this and check your grammar, right? Your spelling. He said, everything's perfect. He said, it's probably read 1,000 times before it ever gets copied out to anywhere.
Okay. So I'm curious, Stephen, how did you get informed that you're on the ballot for the Nebulas?
Oh, for the World Fantasies.
World Fantasies.
Yeah, it was actually a total surprise. It was, and it actually happened within about an hour of winning the Aurora Award for the year's best Canadian fantasy and science fiction. So like as with Writers of the Future, when I was got the nomination for the Aurora, they let you know in advance and say, are you willing to accept the nomination? Of course, you say, yeah, of course I am. So I hadn't heard anything about the World Fantasy. I had submitted the book, for consideration and stuff, but to the judges, and I hadn't heard anything, so I assumed I wasn't a nominee. And then I saw somebody on social media say, "Oh, I'm thrilled. I got a nomination for the World Fantasy." I said, "Oh, cool. The list must be out. I'll go find it." And I'm in the car driving back. We were at a barbecue at a friend's. And, I'm scrolling through and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, some of these stories that got nominated are going to be in volume 2 of the year's best Canadian science fiction fantasy. Oh, great. Yeah, it's cool. And then I get to the anthology category, and I'm like, oh, Ellen Datlow, cool, and Jordan Peele, yeah, cool, and Stephen Kotowych, cool, and here's I'm like, wait a minute, who, what? And there's my name, and there's the book title, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. We were driving, it was about a 2-hour drive, and my wife said she counted me saying wow like 60 times in the course of like a 2-hour drive. So you know that when it comes to winning awards or nominating for them, John, I have no chill at all, right? You've seen it live in person. You know how it happens. It so it was a total surprise. I guess the World Fantasy committee just drops the press release, and that's it. So it was wild. And then when I got home, I had emails, saying, oh, congratulations on your nomination. Here's the details you need to know and all that kind of stuff. So, it was total shock, total surprise. It was great. So it was a lot of fun that way.
That's good. I mean, it's a great book, and it's a great project that you've resumed because it's so important for Canada. It is important to have that history, in some venue for Canadians to be honored and to be
well, and that's a big reason I wanted to do it, was even just to have it sort of as an archive. I was realizing how hard it is to find some of the stories that have won the Aurora Award, which is our national science fiction fantasy prize. Very prestigious, but it after a couple of years it can be really hard to find those stories. Maybe like the magazine folded, or it was online and that website has gone away or something. So being able to have them in a single volume every year, that the best of the best is hopefully a way that people will be able to access them for hopefully for years to come. And I do want to make this an annual thing. Volume 2 is going to come out in October, not quite next month. And hopefully it'll be an annual thing, and people can have them on their shelves and look back and sort of see the trends over time, and people who are making a name for themselves in short fiction, and then probably will go on to do longer works and win other awards and all kinds of stuff.
Which would be great.
Yeah. So that's the hope.
Well, it's because you're the second incarnation, right, of this.
There was one a number of years ago from the publisher imploded, but they were kind of it was more of like a horror kind of thing, a darker take on things.
Yeah.
With this, I'm kind of focused more on fantasy and science fiction in particular. There are a few stories that are sort of horror or sort of supernatural, dark kind of whatever, not like horror stuff. But it had been a long time since there was a book like this, and I just sort of saw a need for it. And it was one of those if you identify the book you want, you sometimes have to do it yourself. So
right.
But I had, as I say, having worked in traditional publishing for a long time and having taught publishing, I think I had sort of the skill set to be able to do the production side of things, and also the connections to get the stories, the rights for the stories and all that kind of stuff with the people I had met and could contact over the years and stuff. So
that's good. And we got I think if it just keeps on going, because we've had several winners from Canada over the years.
A couple this year, I think, too, right? In volume 40, there were a couple. Yeah.
But I think our first one was James Allen Gardner, way back when in volume 8, or he goes way back when.
Yes, yeah, he was the first Canadian Grand Prize winner, and he actually is in this volume, which Tony Pye, one of the other winners, was in my cohort. So we edited this one last year. Game On. This is the one, Joe. This is the one Wolf is in, and David as well. And James Allen Gardner is in that collection. There's quite a few Writers of the Future alumni in that. Elliot de Bodard is in that. All kinds of people from this. We realized later it's actually quite a collection, or quite an alumni reunion.
Yeah.
Of
Are you still in touch with Elliot?
Yeah, now every now and then we're on keep in touch in social and stuff, and talk about her kids every once in a while. So she's gone on great things,
Yeah, I know. She's done amazing stuff. I last was in touch with her when she just had her baby. She sent me some baby pictures. She said, "Please don't share them. I just want you to see." So I saw it, which is great, but I haven't been in touch with her since then. Her kid's probably going to college now.
I don't remember the age, but yeah, that probably was a while ago. Yeah.
So youngins. Look, I'll give y'all some heathens, John. John, let me send you some children, John. Or better
Yeah,
yet, let me send you. No. Let me send you some great grandchildren. They're great. They're about yay tall. They're good kids. They listen. They clean up after themselves. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take after Grandpa Joe. Right.
No, I wish they took out the grandpa. Then they'd actually freaking listen. Oh man, what's that, Christopher? John. What do you mean, John? John's in Tampa, Florida. Why? You're in Tampa. Go visit. Yeah, he's there until Monday.
Yeah. So the convention goes tomorrow till 5:00. Today it goes for another half hour today, and then tomorrow it goes from 10 until 5.
Wow, they close early, huh? That's kind of strange.
Well, yeah, because for takedown, we got to take it down and load up.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm gonna tomorrow afternoon about 3-4 o'clock. I'm going to pick up a U-Haul trailer, and we're going to load our 2 pallets worth of stuff here. So this is our booth that you see there, and so all the stuff gets broken down, get packed up on 2 pallets, whatever hasn't been sold, and then we're going to be driving to Atlanta, Julie and Sarah and myself, on Tuesday morning, and we will be setting up there. I'll meet up with Emily. We'll be setting up there. Plus, I'll be there. We have an event at Books A Million store with Orson Scott Card and with Steve Sterling. So, have you met either of them, Stephen?
I have met Steve Sterling. I got him to sign a bunch of books for me once at a convention. Yeah, he's great. I really love his stuff.
Yeah, he's into the alternate history stuff.
It's gotta be funny when Arthur walks up with a bunch of books to get signed. When I get mine, I want them signed wherever they come from ahead of time. I don't want to have the best way.
Well, we were recently did a writing workshop. I did one with Orson Scott Card about a month ago in Clearwater, and we had 130 people do the course, and then it was a week-long, full weekend, and then he had Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He did signings. Between all 3 nights, he had 8 hours that he did. He said, "I'm not going to turn anybody away." So people would come with backpacks full of stuff. And one family came from Israel, and they said, "When we came, I sold everything except for my Ender's Game book, the whole Ender series books." And he had them specifically translated into Hebrew, so he brought them there. And so he had a whole backpack full. So Scott said, "Okay, no." He brought them. I'm going to sign them, even though he was way late from when he said he was willing to go. But he was just like over the moon. He was definitely the king of the hill there. So it's one of the best-selling science fiction books of all time, Ender's Game. This is awesome. When I've interviewed Tom Doherty, who's the publisher of Tor, he's the one that bought it from him. Tom said that's his best-selling book that Tor's ever had.
Baby. Make that money. That's why you got to make that money. Steven said when he gets rich, he's going to take care of us, John.
Oh, good. I missed that part of the interview. Maybe he missed that part of the interview too.
Y'all heard this live on the air here, people. Y'all heard this, right? How many ever
Steven, now you're getting a more insight into who and what Joe Matalo really is.
Joe is such a sweetheart.
I'm learning.
Yeah, he drinks his Diet Coke there.
I do not drink Coke. That's iced tea, man. You should know that by now. It's what's that, Chris? Yeah, I know. See, even my listeners know I drink tea. It's shame when John knows I drink tea because every time I go to LA, I got to teach these idiots out here how to make iced tea. We're staying at the Roosevelt. I looked at the guy. He looked at me like, iced tea, ice what? I'm like, you'd have thought I was talking Martian or something, man. That's like, look, dude, I come from the deep South. We drink tea down here. You're going to have me here for a week. You have to make me some tea.
Iced tea or sweet tea? Because I learned there was a difference. Coming from Canada, we only have one kind. And when I forget where I was, somewhere south, and I said, "Can I get an iced tea?" And I just got a cup of cold tea, and I was like, "It's different down here."
Yes, because they take their sweet teas very seriously. It's plus you got to be careful too. If you just ask for iced tea, sometimes they'll bring you out some peach flavored shit or some
Well, that's the standard down there, isn't it? That's
No,
like
that's standard where you live. Where I live,
No.
standard is sweet tea that makes your eyes roll back in your head. It's so sweet. It's even McDonald's down here makes tea so sweet to make your eyes roll back in your head. It's Cane's praises itself on how good their tea is. Matter of fact, it's a selling point for some of the chicken restaurants and stuff. So we like our teas, man. Even Popeye sells good tea. It's just everywhere you go, all the restaurants, high end, low end, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got good iced tea. It's a staple for us. It's like coffee for the rest of the world. You know, all y'all drinking y'all's coffee.
I'll keep with my coffee.
All y'all drinking.
What's your particular drink of choice, Stephen?
I'm actually a tea guy. I have never developed a taste for coffee, but yeah, a cup of tea. That might be the British influence in Canadian history. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's to civilize people. That's all. These crazy coffee drinkers are nuts. That's
Sorry,
why.
you're breaking up. Sorry.
I've seen fights in Starbucks over there. That, oh my God. I will say though, I was remodeling a restaurant for a good customer of ours, and one of his ladies there used to make me this double mocha espresso thingy in the morning, full of whipped cream and 2 shots of espresso. I tell you what, I'd drink one of these. I was working for the next 2 hours and didn't realize I was moving. Man, these things were like energy boosters, and very good, very addictive. And then she said, okay, then at lunch she'd bring us these big monster hamburgers to wash out the caffeine out of us. That's what she used to tell us. And she was good. And then iced tea after that. That's what it was. Man, we keep it big on the job sites. We keep it big, even though my son hates it. He's like, hey, Dad, it's iced tea. Ew. Why can you drink that stuff? I drink hot tea, cold tea. I don't care. Frankie G. I do drink coffee in the morning some morning, Jess. Depending on what kind of mood I'm in. Mm-hmm. Depending on how cold it is outside, which down here is very rare that it's cold outside. It's not like where Stephen lives, where, you know, the ground's made out of ice.
Only 8 months of the year.
Yeah, see, for us, it's like, I got to say, it's really weird right now because it's cool outside. For usually this time of August, it's still in the high 90s. Usually like 98 degrees outside, 98% humidity, but humidity's been low and temperature's been low. So it's getting a little LA weather out here almost. Not quite. Still a hot.
I mean, I've been in Toronto before where doing lectures and seminars, and I remember this one, I don't know if it was a castle, whatever it was, but there was no AC on it. It was just this huge block that was built with, and it was really nice. But I sweated through my shirt, my t-shirt, my shirt, my jacket. I was just like sopping wet by the time I was done. Like, wow, this is so not what I was remembering Toronto as.
Yeah.
But it was in the summertime. It was just like so hot.
That's what's so funny because so many of our hosts don't have air conditioners. You know, and I noticed about 3 years ago, it started getting hot. They started sweating in their rooms, had to bring fans in. They're not used to it. They never had, you know, I was talking with them the other day. I've never had an air conditioner the whole time I've lived here. Now all of a sudden I need a freaking air conditioner. I was like, well, better go get a window unit because real air conditioners are expensive. I know I'm waiting on a damn part of mine. It's like $1,200 just for the damn part, whatever it gets here. It's got to come from, well, China. Don't ask me why. It's Japanese air conditioning, but the part got to come from China. So we're just not even going to worry about it until we see it.
Steve, what's your next book that you've got that you're doing? It's just volume 3?
Yeah, volume 2 will be out in October, and I'll be taking submissions for volume 3. So that'll be the best of the 2024 stories. So I'll do that in January and February. I also have a project that I'm hoping to do, which will be a retrospective best of Canadian fantasy and science fiction from the first 25 years of the 21st century. So I'm hoping to, that'll be a Kickstarter that'll run early next year. And the book will be out later next year. But we'll look at sort of the best of the last, the best of the 21st century so far is how I'm thinking of it. So
this is short fiction.
Short fiction, yeah, and just probably short stories, just because a lot of, particularly these days, like we're living through a real renaissance and a real golden age for the like novella length works in fantasy and science fiction, and I know Writers of the Future is one of the few places that take longer works like that,
Yeah.
potentially. So sometimes those are tricky to get the rights for. Like if Tor publishes a lot of standalone novellas, essentially as short novels. So you're not going to get rights for that, and that'll take up a huge chunk of your book if you try to license that. So I mostly stick to short fiction, and in the year's best books, I also do speculative poetry. There's quite a large fantasy sci-fi poetry community here in Canada, and they have their own category now for poetry in the Auroras, just because there were so many of them, and so much great work being done. So it's important to represent that as well in the book.
Mm-hmm. That's great. We had Rob Sawyer in volume 34, I think, had one of the short stories called Gator. That was the judge story that was in that one there. I'm not sure when that was written, but that was a short story, like 4,000 or 5,000 words, wasn't that long?
Yeah.
Why y'all spamming me like that? Jeez, and people. No, John's in Tampa. Go see him. I've seen like Tampa go by 5 times. Yes, he's in Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
at a convention, comic convention, and there's between all 3 days, I think it's 110, 120,000 people here, and we're here with all of our books, and it's all these people dressed up in their costumes. There's
that's his bodyguard right there. So y'all better watch out.
They were just attended the panel that I just did on writing, so they might be guessing your show in a couple of years. They'll be careful.
It's weird you said I somebody who was a podcaster, I don't know, like 12 years ago, decided to become an author. Now he's got a good book out of it. He writes to me, "Can I come on the Authors Quill?" I'm like, "I thought you were a podcast." He said, "No, here, let me send you my book." He said, "Man, I sold all kind of copies, man." I said, I'm making a living from this. I'm like, okay. I had not a clue. It's kind of weird. I would have never thought he could write, not even a little bit, but I guess I was wrong. Denise, yes, fantasy. What do you mean? What is fantasy? What do you mean? What is? Steve, explain to this woman what fantasy is, because I'll get aggravated if I do it.
A good definition of fantasy would be that whatever is central to the story, that makes it different from our lived reality, is something that couldn't actually happen. So things that are like magic, dragons, elves, other magical creatures, monsters, those sorts of things would be fantasy. There's a whole range. You can go from everything from like Lord of the Rings and to Game of Thrones, to something more like urban fantasy that's like the Anne Rice's books, vampires and werewolves and things that are more contemporary. And that would contrast with science fiction, where if you sort of the central thing in the story has to be drawn from or based on or extrapolated from science, or sort of what we know of physics and chemistry and sort of that kind of thing. You can fudge those things, like there's probably no faster than light travel, but we won't tell Captain Picard and his warp drive, that kind of thing. So you can sort of wave your hands a little bit and get around some of that the limits of what we know about physics, or say, well, there was some new discovery in physics and we didn't know, but we know better now, or whatever. So that would be kind of the difference between. So it's sort of, science fiction is something that could potentially happen. Fantasy is something that wouldn't ever actually happen.
Yes. You got that? Or you're just more confused now? Is that what you're telling? Never mind. Well, it's good to be confused. Sometimes, you ever heard the expression, ignorance is bliss? There you go. In today's world, it's probably a true statement. What do you mean? John's favorite? I don't know what John's favorite. He's told me, but I forgot.
John's favorite what?
He likes different kind of books, like westerns and stuff. What are you talking about? John's not an author. No, John's the boss. But no, I mean, you can ask him what his favorite genre to read is. That's fine. Yes. Stephanie wants to know what your favorite genre to read is. Where'd you get Hughes? Oh, he co-hosts with me all the time. What are you on, crack? See, this is what's wrong with the world. You people don't pay attention when you watch it, John. Tell him what genre is your favorite.
So I do love westerns. They're really
I miss a good western.
I like stories that are. I don't like the super complex story arcs, which I'm so busy with life right now. Still, I still work. I'm a book publisher. I work half days. That's 12 hours. So it's when I read, I like something that I can just enjoy. I'm also reading a book a week almost for the podcast that I do. So I'm always reading an author. I'm getting ready. I'm finishing Steve Sterling's next book. So I'll be interviewing him in a few days, next Tuesday or next Thursday in Atlanta. So I got to get through that book there. So I'm having to read a lot of books. I like books that have a simple arc, not like super long and involved, so that I can just get through it and understand the author's mindset and what they like, and kind of like try to predict what that person's like. I enjoy that. I like adventure, but then what I don't like is stories where someone's trying to force a message down my throat. I don't like stories where it's, I want you to really believe in this message. I like more the concept of escapist fare. It's okay. I don't mind that the person's got some sense of integrity. That part's good. But I don't want someone to. The moral of the story is that you got to have your integrity in all the time. I'd like to see it in the story, and I don't like a story where if a person's evil, that he gets away with it at the end. I don't like those stories either.
I don't either. Bad guy needs to die.
Yeah, that's some people consider it old school. Whatever, I consider that's integrity. I like stories where a personal integrity is validated. You do the right thing and it pays off.
So this is just a general question she's asking, but she's wanting to know if there's any stories that were good stories written about modern day bad guys that are based on modern day bad guys. I have not a clue. I mean, doing the news, I'm aware of the bad guys, but I don't know any books or anything. I don't pay that much attention.
What you consider modern day bad guys, you've got there's a lot of books that have been out there on Charles Manson. He's a modern day bad guy.
You know what? That's better. Give us an era. I mean, what kind of time frame are you talking? Like since 2000? I can't think of anything since I mean, y'all are probably better read than I am, but still, I can't think of anything I would consider a modern day bad guy. I mean,
see, I don't get into books which like iconicize bad people. I don't agree with it.
And I'm not exactly sure what she means by modern day bad guys. Depending on who you are, or where you are in the world, anybody can be a modern day bad guy. I mean, shit, Joe Biden, who can't even talk, can be a modern day bad guy. It's just. What do you mean, like Russia, Putin? Well, if you ask the Russians, Putin's not a bad guy. The Ukrainians are.
Yeah, and you can talk. You can go to another country and you can have people have an opinion about, the head of Canada or the head of the United States.
Oh, now we know Purple Shorts is bad. Mr. Pink Shorts is bad. Mr. Pink Shorts is bad.
Enjoy your Diet Coke, Joe.
It's Mr. Pink Shorts. Y'all know how I feel about Mr. Pink Shorts. What do you mean? I posted the whole picture for y'all. He looks so good in hot pink shorts and a hot pink shirt. That was just look.
Now, Stephen Kotowych is going to write you in as an evil person.
That's right. Yeah, you should hear what we say about Americans. So.
Oh wait. I have no doubt of it. I got Canadian friends. That Mr.
major
Pink
pastime
shirt,
here. Yeah.
I've never seen a world leader ever wear pink shorts and pink shirt before like that. And I've never seen any world leader dress herself in a flag while they were naked. Ever. That's all a Trudeau thing. I'm just like, Trudeau, dude, really, I actually used to like you. Now I'm thinking you smoking crack up there with the rest of y'all. I'm like, I don't
Okay,
know.
so Joe,
He
we're
scares me.
very civil. Stephen's been an amazing guest,
Steven's
and
a
now
good
you just
guest.
go
And
and start like spitting on his.
what do you mean?
on
I
his-
love Canada. Everybody knows I love Canada. Come on, my manager's out of Canada. I love Canada. I'm just, I'm just not.
Yeah,
I'm just
Mr.
not a big
Backpedal
fan
right
of
now.
world leaders right now. Not just his. Like I told him earlier, I'm a centrist. I hate on everybody, so it's not just his I'm on. I could we could talk about this for hours. How many world leaders I got issues with right now? Oh God, we don't even want to go there, Johnny. No, come see us on Friday
All right,
night.
so we're gonna do a segue right now into. So, what's your favorite genre, Stephen Kotowych?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's, I mean, for me, it's always been fantasy and science fiction, right from the time I think I discovered The Hobbit around like 9, 10, and it was, I remember feeling very grown up because it was the first book I'd ever read that didn't have pictures in it. And from that followed Lord of the Rings, and I found Ray Bradbury and Octavia Butler and Rob Sawyer's books, and all, you just sort of, it kind of set my dials for being a reader of fantasy and science fiction. Always just drawn to it. I've read some sort of modern or sort of more realistic fiction, literary fiction, and some of them are nice. I mean, I really love To Kill a Mockingbird. It's one of my favorite books of all time. But when if it's up to me, I'm just always drawn to fantasy and science fiction. It's
That's the college professor speaking there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were a few books that I read in high school and in university that I really did enjoy. There were a bunch that I didn't.
Yeah.
But if I have the choice of what to look for and what to read, it's definitely fantasy and science fiction for me. So.
That's good. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, we'd go to the gas station and you could get, depending on how many gallons you buy, you could get credits towards buying books. This was at Texaco. And I remember getting Call of the Wild and Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and bought these books and read them. I became so infatuated with writing. Again, those were books that were no pictures. But it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I read E. Doc Smith's Lensman series that I got hooked on science fiction. That was the first one that's kind of like, whoa, this is so cool. And then it set my sights on science fiction at that point. And then I read Battlefield Earth after that, and that was an awesome book. Still love that one. But then I read the Skylark series and then now I'm just like, I've got hundreds of books that I've read and a lot of it, I'm up to I just uploaded episode 291 on the podcast, and out of that I probably read 200 books just for that series in the podcast.
It's good to be well read. I can say
read when you used to go to.
Well, I don't read anymore. I just listen now. It's still, for me, it's still the same thing. I just listen instead of reading. But yeah, when I was about 15, 10, it's when I was in private school, we were always required to do a book report a week, and most of them was classics and stuff. But I mean, every now and then our teacher would get a twist and give us a Jules Verne or something like that instead of a classic. She always loved the tearjerkers like The Where the Red Fern Grows and Old Yeller and shit like that. I'm like, teacher, come on, I want to read, but I got to read.
I'm a guy.
Well, yeah, at least she was big into Tom Sawyer, so we got to read a collection and
All the Wild.
And so and then there's a lot of stuff we got to read that you don't really hear kids reading today. Oh, what's his name? The Call of the Wild. What's his name? Not Tom Sawyer.
Jack London, right?
Jack London.
Jack London. Yeah, Jack London. So that's not stuff you hear. But and then of course we did, and then she got into modern stuff. But she required us to do one a week, every week, no matter how thick the damn book was. And she'd know if you were trying to do cliff notes or something. She'd know right off the bat. She was a great teacher, and she was a great English teacher. And she taught us a lot. I mean, I got a good thirst for knowledge, a good thirst for reading from the 3 years that I was teaching with her. And I read a lot of books with her. And then she turned us on to a lot of stuff that she thought you might want to read at home that was not necessarily for school.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then when I joined the service and was going to college, it was different. But that's who introduced me to Lord of the Rings. I was in tech school and I couldn't sleep at night. And a friend of mine said, "Here, read this." And it was Lord of the Rings. And I started reading the last book first. He's like, "No, what are you doing?" He said, no, this book. I didn't even know there was a thing called The Hobbit until I'd already finished all 3 of the Lord of the Ring books, which kind of sucked because I wish I'd have read The Hobbit first, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it's super slow if you read that after.
Yeah, because it really is a progression. You should read that way. But so and that kept me into the thirst for knowledge. And then of course I've always been a big sci-fi geek. So a lot of times I will watch a sci-fi TV movie and go buy the book and read the book or listen to the book just to see what the difference is. Because sometimes it's blatant how different a book is from a damn movie. And most of the time the book is better than the movie is. It's just a thing. If you ever watch
a book has got an unlimited budget when a movie's got a limited budget.
Well, but that's not always how it works. Like in Fire the Sky, that's Travis Walton's account of being abducted by aliens. Well, the movie they spent a lot of money on the movie. Well, half the movie is nothing what was in the book. It's just not even close. But they needed to spiff it up some and make the aliens a little scarier and make things a little more exciting and, dragging them down the highway and stuff like that. And they just had to. I understand why they do the things they do. It's not always good when you've read the book. And then you see the movie. Even with Dune, people who've read Dune, none of the movies, even including the last one, really don't do justice to the book. I mean, and I don't think any of them ever will. I think they'll get as close as they can because the way the book's written, it's really the way that book's written, it's really great book to read. And it'll probably be a really good book to convert into an audio book with full sound effects. But it's not necessarily the easiest book to translate into the big screen. Well, Gene, go read the damn thing. That's all I can tell you. Look, there's so many Dune movies out there. I know 4 for sure. 4. There's the original classic.
I didn't like the first one because it was all talking in his head. But the other ones they're enjoyable because there's good action in there.
And so it's just each movie has its different parts. And no matter which one you read, the first half is slow and boring. Thank God for the second half. Well, it's the book or the movie. Yes. Well, they got a new Children of Dunes coming out too. So there's a couple of new Dunes coming out. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah.
And there is a new Star Trek movie. There might be 2 new Star Trek movies coming out. A new series. I get to the point where I don't even want to watch stuff anymore when it takes. So the original Star Trek and Generations and all put out 23 to 26 episodes a year. So we got 8 from whatchamacallit last year. What was it? Stargate, whatever the hell it's called. I can't even remember the name of it. That's how sad that is. Strange New Worlds. We got 8. And then we got to wait 2 years to get another 8. I don't even want to watch it. I lose interest. It's irritating.
Well, that was the strike, though, wasn't it? That was the production was delayed.
That was like that before. It was even like that before COVID. Somehow or another, we went from 25 or 26 to a year. Then we went to 12 a year. Now we're to 8 a year. And that's it's just been getting progressively worse. Plus, I don't understand it because like where in Canada, they've got that big huge system up there now that can mimic almost anything. So you don't even have to spend all that money into CGI anymore because of these 2 new systems they have. But yet still, it's taken forever to make. Come on, I mean, it's not like Strange New Worlds is that complicated of a series. Let's be honest. It's not. It doesn't take outrageous acting, and it shouldn't take 4 months to make one TV series, one TV show.
The really fun thing about it being filmed in Toronto, I lived in Toronto for 20 years, so I'm watching it and I'm like, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know where. One of the episodes was filmed in the ballroom where my wedding reception was. So I was like, I know exactly where that is.
So that's cool. Though. That is cool. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna just so you know, Joe. In 3 minutes, they're gonna be shutting off the lights here because they turn it off. They go like 7 o'clock.
Go. Give everybody a hug for me. Rub Sarah. Give her a noogie.
I want to make sure a big plug also for Rise the Future because that's a big thing of what we're doing here. And for anybody that hasn't, you can go to writersofthefuture.com and find out about it. It's free to enter. It's open to all amateur short story writers. You've had plenty of guests on there. Stephen is a past winner from volume 24, was it?
Sorry, 23. I was muted.
23, yeah.
And say, oh, what happened to my sound? Yeah, so 23, there we go. And so we got this awesome slipcase too, which has been selling really well here. We got all this cool on the art of it, but this is the new stuff here. And when you get it, you also have all the illustrations from the artists. But it's there for anybody that wants to become a writer or an artist. It's an opportunity for you to do it because it's free to enter and it's a blind judge, so that you have the equal chance of anybody else entering. And no matter where you are in the world, you can enter the contest. We've had winners from 8 countries last year, 9 countries the year before that. So it really is even an opportunity for anybody to be able to enter and win. And then if you've not read it, you can go to Amazon.com or pretty much any bookstore in the U.S., Canada, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and UK. You can buy the books in those stores too. It's just there for the reading. It's a great opportunity. And then, as Joe's been talking about several times before, we've also had this has been a topic of many of our shows here, Battlefield Earth, which that's all that's left in the stack right now. We've sold tons of books. There we go. The lights just went off. So
yes, get out. That's what they're telling you. Get the bleep out.
They're going to say, get the heck out of here. So anyway, I'm going to have to ring off, let you guys carry on there. But it's great seeing you again, Stephen. And I'll see you, Joe, next week in Atlanta at DragonCon.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
Be in touch, so I can make sure we connect up.
Yeah, well, and I'll hit you up with the numbers probably in about an hour or so because I'm going to go eat first. My wife has been frying shrimp while y'all have been talking, and it's stinking me up. It's about to kill me smelling that stuff.
Okay, good. Anyway, great seeing you again, Stephen. Thanks,
you
Joe,
too,
and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay.
Be good, guys. Good.
Bye-bye.
Stephen, anything you want to plug before we get out of here, babe? Other than John is cute?
No, Emily's cute. I've already plugged my side of it to get copies of Rise of the Future, because that's the way to do it. And then Stephen can tell you all about why it's such a great thing. And then Steve's got his book he's just nominated for all types of intergalactic awards for.
Yes, and we're hoping he's going to win so we can see the award.
Exactly. Have him on again as a guest.
Well, John's waiting. Speaking of awards, man, what the bleep is going on? I want my damn award. Telling people I'm getting hostile.
Well, we're going to find
we're
out
both up for
December
podcast.
30th, whatever it is. It's the International Podcast Days when it gets announced.
Oh man, we got to wait that long. Jeez.
You got to do your video. You got to submit your winning video, Joe.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I haven't seen a letter from them.
I'll remind you again. Anyway, that'll be another conversation. I'll follow up later on. I want people to think that you're absent-minded and stuff. So we'll talk about that later.
All right, yeah, because I don't think I've seen I usually see an email from them about that. I don't have to go check and see now.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, be good, baby.
Bye-bye.
I forgot we the News on the Flip Side shows up for a podcast award, and the Writers of the Future's up for a podcast award from the People's Choice Podcast Awards.
Yeah, great.
People, for everybody who wouldn't voted for us, thank you. There's over 5 million people that voted. Now you've got to be a selected judge to vote. Yes, you either have to be one of the people who submitted or one of the people who originally voted. They pick, I think, 5,000 of y'all and let y'all vote. Yes. I'm gonna send aliens to your house if you don't freaking vote them. I'm just telling you now. No, this show will be probably next year, but this show will not. It's just a brand new show, so we didn't even submit it for consideration. No, it's a newbie. It's got a lot of great guests, but it's still a new show. We'd like to have at least a year's worth of archives for you to go through before. What do you mean, News on the Flip Side? No, News on the Flip Side's got like 15 years worth of archives. You can go listen to us ran far back as, I don't know, Barack Obama's second year. I'm a centrist. I voted both. I voted for Democrat and Republican presidents. Yes. I have actually done. I pretty much followed suit. So there you go. Check that out. So y'all be sure if you're in Canada to catch up with Steve, go hang out with him, say hi, buy some books. Go to the website, buy some books, people. I know it's not the holidays yet, but we're going to be getting there. And I know we got like 150 days or 120 days or something, so we'll be getting there. I'll get Steven send over a couple for the holidays.
Get your shopping done early.
Yes, whoever sent me that, whoever won the contest, I will send that over to him once I get off and eat. I'm going to eat first, people. The boss lady has been frying shrimp for like the last 10 minutes. Yeah, that's all I can smell is fried shrimp. Well, usually the studio, I keep everything locked up and closed up when I'm in the house studio. When I'm in the city, it doesn't matter. But here, I usually keep it closed up with the dogs. They're locked away, so they're all quiet. So I left it open. So now I can smell fried shrimp. Yes, it smells good too, people. But anyway, go sure to check out Steven. Check him out all over the place. Go like his books. Go buy a book. Check out, see what he's doing. What he's got coming up. I know we have a lot of Canadian listeners, so y'all be sure to go check it out as well. Well, he's in y'all's neck of the woods.
Yeah, a good place is if they want to go find my website. It's my last name Kotowych.com, KOTOWYCH.com. I post there, and there'll be links to books and all that kind of stuff. And then, as I say, those my collection and the year's best anthology are on sale for this weekend, so it's a great time to go grab it for cheap.
Kotowych.com. Go check it out. Yeah, I mean, it's go get involved. Buy. I know everybody's tight right now. Everybody's whining about the economy. But books aren't that expensive. And remember, when you buy a book, you can share the book. You can give it to a kid, pass it on to a friend. Well, some of y'all are greedy, stingy with your books, and I know how y'all are. Some of y'all, you get my book, it's my book. I might want to read it again one day. But for everybody else that's normal on the planet, you can share your books and stuff like that. During the holidays, last year we gave away almost 3,000 books. We're usually somewhere around 2,500, give or take. Well, different companies, Barnes and Nobles will send us some, Writers of the Future will send us some, a lot of the different authors. Well, there's 2 author shows on Saturday, but altogether, there are 6 shows on this network that do authors, different types of authors. Like Church of Mavis really just does esoteric type authors, paranormal, Bigfoot, ET, stuff like that. We've got a few other that one of them just does pretty much New Age stuff. So, yeah, so a lot of different authors that cross across the network. But Saturday is being designed to have a place to sell books because really and truly on the rest of the days, they don't sell books. The other days, people are interested more in what's being said than buying a damn book. So that's what we started Saturday for, just to start letting people know there's a place to come look if you're interested in buying a book. Yes, because all the doesn't matter who they are. Any guest that you're going to see on Saturday, whether it's on my show or John's show, are award-winning authors. They may not all be from Writers' Future, but they're all award-winning authors. They've all won awards. Some of them have won multiple awards. So it's a good place to come learn about an author that you might want to actually read their book. But we got to go. Steven's 12 children are like, Dad, get the damn off the damn thing. You got to take us out. No, Canadians, are like the Martians. They got to have a lot of children. Yes.
We need them to pull the sleds in the winter. That's why.
That's right. That's right. What are you talking about, Chris? No, Canada's the second largest country in the world. I don't know. Sometimes they say it's the first. We go back and forth on it. Sometimes it's bigger than Russia. Sometimes it's not. I think it's the first. I think Russia's the second. The United States is the third.
I always heard we're second by land mass.
Yeah, I hear that too. And then sometimes it turns around. Well, I think they're arguing about who the North Pole belongs to. That's what I think the problem is.
There's that.
Yeah, I think that's what the problem is. What is that, Jackie? Everybody I know in Canada says it's beautiful. Yeah. Except for Cougar. She lives somewhere where the average temperature in the winter is 40 below, and they go polar bear swimming twice a year. I'm like, you're nuts. I'm like, you're nuts.
Yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing.
Yes,
not for me.
Don't ask me why she does it. And she lives. Look, it don't get that cold all through all of Canada, but where she does, it's unbelievably cold. I said, why don't you move? She's like, but y'all love it here. I said, whatever. I said, when I got to put on 3 parkas and walk out my front door, I'm moving. No, I'm moving. I'm just telling you, I'm moving. I like cold weather, but to an extent. No ice, not too much snow. Yes, I'm spoiled. What's that, Brian? Where are you? Where? Oh, wait, why do I know that name? There was a Shag Harbor. Oh, because of the Shag Harbor UFO case or the crashed airplane, whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, that's why I remember Shag Harbor. No, it's Canada. They're talking about Canada. They're not talking about the United States. Matter of fact, because of some of the stuff that went down, our government had to get permission to bring in equipment to retrieve whatever it is they were trying to retrieve, which I guess never got retrieved. Yeah, that's a damn book in itself. See, there you go. That's a book in itself. One day I'll have to tell you all about it. Come on, catch me on Wednesdays. I'll tell you about it. But we got to go.
All
On
right.
that note, we got to get out of here. And we thank everyone for tuning into the Authors Quill, coming and hanging out with Steve Kotowych, myself, Joe Montaldo, and of course, John Goodwin was with us from Writers of the Future. Again, if you think you're a good author or a good illustrator, you can submit at writersofthefuture.com. If you win, they will fly you out to LA and treat you like royalty and stress the living hell out of you at the same time. Yes, it's a great adventure. It's all I can tell you. But on that note, stay tuned for The Gray Zone, which will be coming up with Michelle DeRoche and myself. No, it's pre-record, so be sure to check it out. The Gray Zone is the second most popular show on our network with 3.6 million weekly listeners. Yes, it's a very popular show. It talks about how things work no, it's not political. No, not at all. It just talks about how things work, like pyramids and what happened with the Great Alexandria Library, different things throughout society. Why there are coincidences between South America and the Middle East, stuff like that. It's just fun stuff. Yes, we try to keep it educational and fun at the same time. But on that note, good night or good afternoon, and hang out for the Gray Zone, which will start in 4 minutes.